On today's episode, we're going to talk about German healthcare. After living in Germany for about 7.5 years, I have had enough experience with said healthcare in order to talk about what I like, what I don't like, and everything else in between. Hello, you Lieblings, I'm Mari, science fiction and fantasy author who's been living in southern Germany since 2014. As I've said earlier, I've lived in Germany for quite a hot minute at this point, and I have had quite a bit of experience with their healthcare system. How does it hold up? Is it really that much better than the American healthcare? Is it the paragon of healthcare systems that all countries need to get on board with? We're going to talk about that. First, I'm going to start with two stories. Both are experiences in the ER, one in the States and one in Germany. We'll start with the German one. One night, we were drying dishes, and my husband had this huge mixing bowl in his hand, and it slipped out of his hands and then clocked me right in the face. My upper lip split open, and it hurt like a bitch. So naturally, we went to the emergency room. We were living in Überlingen at the time, and it wasn't the tourist season, so we were literally like the only ones in the ER. So I was in and out in 30 minutes. My lip was glued together, and then I had instructions to go to the doctor to get a Krankmeldung. And if you don't know what that is, I will explain later. Bear with me. On the other hand, while I was living in Chicago, there was one day where I had this horrendous pain in my side, around the area where my appendix is. So of course I panicked and went to the ER to see what it was, and I was there for several hours, and I had a CAT scan, and in the end it was just some weird pain that was a result of stress. Great. So there were differences. And what were they? Well, of course the biggest one being the bill. In Germany, there wasn't one. Both my employer and I pay a good amount of money for my health insurance, and because of that, I paid nothing after having visited the doctor. End of discussion. Okay, well, not really the end. Like I said, I did get a Krankmeldung or Krankbescheinigung or whatever else you want to call it. It is a form you get from your doctor that not only states that you are sick, but how long your doctor recommends you take off work. There are normally 3 copies, one for your employer, one for you, and one for your insurance. And I don't remember how long I was off of work because of that. I think it was actually just the rest of the week. My upper lip was super swollen. Unfortunately, there is no scar, but my Cupid's bow, which is the curve of my upper lips, is ever so slightly crooked. But like, I can tell it's crooked because, I'm living with this mouth for like a while. But yeah, it's really hardly noticeable. Other than that, there's no scar, thank goodness. On the other hand, the most frustrating thing about the American healthcare system isn't just that it's stupid expensive, but you also have no way of knowing how much you actually owe, because you just get random bills every month until they just run out of things to charge you for. I had gotten a bill for the doctor who saw me for all of 5 minutes, a bill for the saline they gave me and like whatever else they gave me, another bill for the technician who actually ran the CAT scan, and then there was the actual CAT scan bill. And this was back in 2012, so I don't remember exactly like what the exact amount was, but it was around $6,000. And I also had good health insurance by American standards, so that brought the price down to $2,000. Yeah, it's ridiculous, I know. So of course, if you're here to hear me say the words that Germany is better than the US in this regard, it is, hands down. Yeah. But what about normal doctor care? Like, what happens when you have like a common cold? Okay, and I mean, for example, but I will say I do have a few criticisms. But I mean, let's face it, it's minor. It's minor. So in a lot of expat groups I'm a part of, it is a common joke, not just with Germany, but in Europe in general, that if you're sick, you'll most likely simply be prescribed tea and probably paracetamol. Definitely tea. I know someone who's going to come up into the comment section and be like, well, the US has an opioid problem. And you know what, guys, they're not wrong, but we're not here to talk about that. Like, I know Americans do kind of throw medication at almost all of their health problems, but there's a lot to unpack. It's not as simple as that. So let's do that. Let's talk about it. So I think a lot of it goes back to the Krankmeldung that I mentioned. When you're sick in Germany, your general practitioner decides how many sick days you need. and your employer has to respect it. Full stop. In the States, you may be extremely unlucky and not get sick days at all. So your only options will be go to work sick or don't go to work and you don't get paid. Or you do have sick days, but you may only get some arbitrary number like 6. But that just means you have 6 days that you don't have to go to the doctor. Like here at my current employer in Germany, if I get sick, even if it's for a day, I do have to go to the doctor and get a Krankmeldung. And another employer I had, you only needed to go to the doctor if you were more than 3 days. In the States, a lot of times if you're going to be sick for more than 3 days, you also need a doctor's note. And then, the things get a little more complicated. So it's not so much that like you either are sick or you don't, but then also a lot of people don't want to go to the doctor because you have to pay each time. You know what I mean? But there are other times like, okay, anyway, I started rambling, but like, you could also get, say you get, either some arbitrary number of sick days, or you do have, I don't know, whatever number of sick days, but then they're combined with your vacation. On the other hand, in Germany, sick days and vacation are completely separate and never the twain shall meet. Like even if you're sick during your vacation, you actually get those vacation days back because you're sick. Like you can't even actually have a proper vacation if you're sick. You know what I mean? Like vacation is supposed to help with mental health, I feel like. But then again, so is being sick. Anyway, I'm starting to like go down a rabbit hole here. So because of this, since a lot of Americans are essentially forced to go to work while sick, our medication literally has to be strong enough to hold us up while we work. It's not good, honestly. But when your choices are come to work, even if you feel like death warmed over or not get paid. On the other hand, in Germany, whenever I got sick, I was usually given about a week off from work and recommended to just rest and drink tea. In all honesty, for most colds and flus, that's kind of all your body needs. You just need time, and you don't get that in the States. So that's why we are dependent on medication, and it is a slippery slope. I can speak, I promise. I mean, I will say, when it comes to the criticisms, there are times, of course, you will need medication, like, it is what it is. The idea is to try to allow your body to take care of what it needs as much as it can, and then, the medication is supposed to kind of just, like, help it along the way, right? And, the problem is that most of those medications here in Europe don't really work. It's probably because I grew up in the States, so I'm so used to the stronger medication. So the lighter medication in Europe just don't work at all. I don't know. So most of the time, honestly, I just opt for tea because it's like, I'm not going to put anything more in my body if it's not going to work. So I'm just going to bitch about it and just drink tea. So I don't want to necessarily speak for other Americans, but for me personally, it was actually a pretty easy transition just because tea is also the usual go-to for Peruvian households as well. I do remember as a kid, my mom almost always administering some kind of natural remedy. But there's one thing that I haven't really seen so much in Germany that all Latina mommies everywhere agree with is the almost like Holy Spirit level power of Vicks Vapor Rub, or as Latin mommies everywhere pronounce it, Bipaporu. Have you seen My Big Crack Freak Wedding and how the dad is obsessed with Windex? Latin mommies everywhere are all about Bipaporu. All about Bipaporu. I actually got my husband on this, and now even when he's sick, he starts using it too, and it really does help. If you're not adding this to your getting better regimen, you should do it. Though I'm not a healthcare professional, guys, so don't take my word as gospel. But I do have to say, like I said, with medications, most of it that doesn't really work for me, and honestly, for the most part, it's fine. But there are 2 kinds of medication that I really wish were stronger in Germany. And it's just true. And if I could get these 2 things, I would be so happy. And I wouldn't complain so much. I really complain a lot, especially when I'm sick. But I feel like shit anyway, so, what are you going to do? The first one is allergy medication. The perfect example is one of our nephews. He has horrible allergies. horrible. And they've tried everything for this poor kid. Like all the medication that's available in Germany. There's the allergy therapy. They have a humidifier to help reduce the amount of dust in the air. They got him hypoallergenic bedding. I mean, you name it, they tried it. But you know what finally worked? Claritin. Good old American Claritin. And personally, I also have very bad allergies as well. It's only like a few times a year. It's not like I need it so much. And Claritin is the only thing that works. And it is awful. It is awful. And I mean, if there is something that is like Claritin level in Germany, let me know. But to be honest, I have yet to see it. Most people just tell me, drink tea. Yeah, I honestly like that, just because most people just give you cetirizine, which is fine for the most part, but it's for those like few days a year, it's nothing. And it's something that you can't escape in Germany, because even when you're this is in the summer, or even like it's spring, so it's warm and you have all the windows open. This is hay fever is what I'm actually talking about. So like it's so bad, like I can't escape it, because I can't even go inside, because since all the windows are open, it comes in the house too. It's awful. It's just awful. Those days are awful. And Claritin is the only thing that works on God's good green earth. Germany, help me out here. The other one is a proper cough suppressant. I am one of those weird people who gets a cough and then I have a cough for like 6 weeks and nothing in Germany works. There are nights I cough so much I cannot sleep. And if I can't rest, it takes even longer to get better. Then I go to the doctor and all they give me is a cough expectorant, not a cough suppressant. Folks, I have been coughing for weeks. I need to stop at some point. My chest is sore. Okay, thanks. Bye. Other than that, I actually do prefer this whole, just having time that I'm given in Germany to allow my body to take care of itself. I know it's quite popular on expat tubes for Americans to talk about how American medication is better. And I think it's common for people who are still fresh in their move from the US to still feel that way. I mean, I did in the beginning, but at the same time, now that I've been here for over 7.5 years, I actually do prefer the German way. And I think just in the long run, you can probably get most Americans on board with it as well, but they would just require to get away from the current toxic work culture in the States. However, we are going through the Great Resignation right now. So literally because, the millennials, my generation, and Gen Z are seeing how countries like Germany and Spain and Italy and just Europe in general, or even Peru, South America, not just Peru. There are more countries. But like how, having actual proper vacation and having proper health care and better wages and, not settling for less. Because this Rona business has really highlighted the failures of a lot of these systems in place in the States. So now people are just sick of it and saying, you know what, I deserve better. And we do. So I do have hope that change is coming with these, following generations. And all we have to do is get the boomers out of power so we can finally make those changes. But I think we'll get there. I think we'll get there. Hopefully, we'll see. But what do you think? For those of you who are very much into home remedies, what do you prefer? And I say those, if you're not into that sort of thing, that's totally fine. Everyone deals with their own health differently. Your choice. This is not a dig at people who don't like home remedies. I like to at least try them out. They are what, a lot of times they do work for me for the most part. Just overall, just how I feel that my health is taken more seriously in general, besides healthcare and just the amount of time that if I'm sick, how long I'm given to just rest and get better. It's just adding to this ever-growing list of why Germany has been a good choice for me. But let me know what you think in the comments below. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining me and supporting me. If you're new here, please consider subscribing and give this video a thumbs up. Please Please leave me a comment if you have any questions or if there's a certain topic you'd like to see on this channel. If you want fun escapism, my Space Fantasy The God Queen and its sequel The Last Imperator are available in ebook, paperback, and hardback. I have all the links in the description below. If you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get a free short story as well as some behind the scenes goodies. And don't forget to connect with me on social media, whether it is through Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, or the Facebooks. And that's it. Until next time, adi!